Hello students, welcome back. I am Professor Veena Joshi. I teach in the Department of Geography, Savitribai Phule, Pune University. I teach GG 111, Fundamentals of Geomorphology, and I believe you will enjoy this talk. In the last lecture, I have given you the introduction to geomorphology. It's started with the definition, the basic concepts, the paradigm, the ice age, and finally geological time scale. How all these basic concepts are important in geomorphology and how the concept of geomorphology was built on that. So, in this lecture, what we are going to discuss is, first we will see how the interior of the earth is layered into different zonation based on the scientific evidence. First, it will include the indirect evidence and it will be followed by the actual earthquake evidence. Based on that, the actual reconstruction of the interior of the earth. So, now let us go to the crux of the problem, that is the earth's interior. We know that the earth has got continental mass and oceanic water, different continents are spread, poles, but in the interior of the earth what actually is the picture, that is what we are going to study right now. If we theoretically chop it or take out a chunk or a slice like how a lemon or an orange slice is taken out, it will look a lot like this, that the interior of the earth is composed of different layers. Previously, when the technology was not that advanced, the knowledge about the interior of the earth was based totally on the indirect evidences. One thing that we are very certain about is, when the volcano comes out, the temperature of the lava is so high. From that we come to know that inside is something is very hot, temperature is very high. And also we know that the pressure as we go is higher than what is there on the crust. Sir Isaac Newton calculated the average density of the earth, which is twice as that of what is there on the crust. That means the interior of the earth has to be of higher density. Lava is very hot, which comes from the interior of the earth, that means interior is hotter. By studying meteorites that falls on the surface of the earth, by direct observation of the rocks which are originating from the center of the earth and earthquake waves, we know about the interior of the earth. Meteorites or meteors, these are the celestial chunk of rock which comes from the sky, which we call it as Dardutna. They are there preserved in many geological museums of all over the world, and iron meteorites have densities of 7.5 gram per cubic centimeter, which is a lot like our interior of the earth. Mahabaleshwar plateau or the Deccan plateau, we have got this basalt rock with layers and layers. They have been formed from the rocks which is the lava which is got erupted from the interior of the earth. By studying the mineral composition and chemical composition of this also, indirectly we can infer about it. Rocks which originate deep in the crust and mantle are kimberlite, ophiolite, peridotite. By studying these rocks also, we can get an inference about what are the scenario in the interior of the earth. But the actual authentic evidence have come from studying earthquake. Earthquake happens from a point where the threshold is crossed and the earth just starts snapping. The point of origin is somewhere below the crust, maybe 10 kilometer, 20 kilometer, 30 kilometers. That point is what we call it as the focus, and the perpendicular of that on the surface, that point is the epicenter of an earthquake where the maximum damage and maximum energy is there. when an earthquake happens, like if we take a stone and throw it in the water, it will start generating waves. Just like that, earthquake also generate waves from the point of origin. So, based on that, we have got a reconstruction. About the temperature, what do we know about the temperature? As we go deeper into the earth, the temperature gradually increases first. That means core is a lot hotter than what is there on the crust. As we go deeper and deeper, the density also is increasing, and as we go deeper and deeper, with the depth, pressure is also increasing. So, this is a fact. So, based on that, we have got one crust, very thin crust called as lithosphere. We have got another layer which is just below that called as mantle, and the innermost layer is called as core. Now, we have got this information. How do the earthquake gives us this information? It is very, very important. When the earthquake happens from any point at at the same time, two types of waves are happening. One is called as we can have a look at it. The one which is perpendicular to the propagation of the wave, and the one is parallel to it. There is one which is called as the surface wave. So, three waves. Out of the three waves, P and S wave are called as the body wave, because they are going through the interior of the earth. They are the ones that we use to infer about the interior of the earth. And on the surface, it is called as the surface wave. We do not use it for reconstruction of earthquake. P waves are very fast velocity wise, and they can move through both solid and liquid. S wave move through only solid, and it cannot pass through liquid. We use this information, and let us see how do we do that. So, our earthquake is happening right moment here at this moment. However close or far, it is going to create wave, and this wave is going to go to every point on the surface of the earth. If there is an earthquake which is happening in Japan right now, because it is so very far away, we may not feel the tremor, but a seismograph is going to detect it. So, however of low intensity it is, this information is very, very important. We can have a look at the diagram. First rule, S wave and P wave, both of them do not move at the same speed, and depending on the density of the object through which they are passing, their velocity is dependent on that first rule. Second, whenever they come across any matter of different density, they start bending or refracting. Such information are very, very important. P wave or the primary wave. So, now earthquake is happening right now. The earthquake is now giving out two such waves, that is P wave, so an S wave. Let us look at P wave, what it does. It will be travelling from that point to all over the world, cutting through the interior of the earth. So, if it is happening in America, it will cut through the interior of the earth, and it will come in, the signal will come till here. But when it is travelling sometime around the depth of around 2000-3000 kilometer, the P wave started bending or refracting. It was going straight, and it started bending, and suddenly the velocity becomes slower. And after it passes through a few thousand kilometers, again it start appearing, resuming the same velocity and the direction. That means it was encountering a liquid layer, because we know that P can travel through liquid, but it starts bending and the velocity becomes less. So, from that we came to know that somewhere down there a liquid layer is there. And also there is something called shadow zone. If we look at the diagram, we will be able to understand. As the P wave starts and it hits the one part, liquid part, suddenly the wave starts bending. So, there is a shadow zone where P wave is not going to arrive. When we put a pencil or a spoon into water, it looks like it is broken. That is called as refraction. What is happening? It is entering into another medium with different density and it is bending. Same thing happens, the waves start refracting. When it comes to S wave, somewhere at the depth of say 2800, 3000, the same point where P started bending, it disappears. That means it cannot pass through liquid. Definitely it tells us only one thing, that there is a liquid layer. And S will have a huge shadow zone. That means because there is one liquid layer below me and an earthquake is happening here, it is not going to cut through that. So, the whole below portion is going to become a shadow zone. This kind of information, if I collect it for 50, 100 years, for thousands of earthquakes, it is going to emerge and give us the data that interior of the pot is composed of different rocks and different density. There is progressive rise in the temperature with the increasing depth at the rate of 1 degree Celsius for every 32 meters of descent or going down. But now we know that the rate is not constant. We have got such kind of diagram which is reconstructing the increase in the temperature as we go down, and we see that the decline is not uniform by all means. Up to about 200 kilometers, the increase is very rapid. Then till about 3000 kilometer cut depth, the change is not that much. Then there is another complete increase and again decrease. Such kind of information is all collected and compiled. From that we came to know that temperature distribution also is not uniform. It is following some kind of a rule. So, from that we have compiled so many information. Already from the earthquake we came to know that inside the earthquake waves are encountering some liquid as well. Their velocity as well as direction tells us that density is also not uniform. Sometimes the wave starts moving very, very fast, sometimes slow, sometimes the direction is. All those information when we collect it, we definitely know that there are some liquid layer. The diagram which tells us why some layers inside the earth is in the liquid state, which is very, very interesting and important for us. There is always a threshold of boiling or melting of every object. Plastic will start melting at a different temperature, iron will start melting at a different temperature, a candle will start melting at a different temperature. So, there is a temperature of boiling or melting. For example, water starts boiling at 100 degrees Celsius. But if you increase the pressure of the atmosphere here, like pressure cooker, in a pressure cooker, because of the pressure which is built up inside that, the boiling point has raised to some 120, 130 degree. So, water is hotter. That is why dal and rice is cooked faster in that. That means there is a relationship between threshold of melting and the boiling point or melting point of any object. So, At the depth of around say 3000 kilometer from the crust, there is a point where till about now the temperature is increasing, but the threshold of melting was more than the actual temperature. So, the rocks were in a solid state. When it reaches this point, the threshold has reached, the rocks have started melting. So, a liquid layer. Then with more depth by around say 5000 kilometer, the pressure has become so much that once again the threshold ratio has changed. The threshold value is higher and the actual temperature is lower than that. Once again the interior part is core, which we call it, is solid. So, we have these three layers: a core at the center, a mantle which is in between, and a thin layer which we call it as lithosphere or crust. So, let us talk about lithosphere. Lithosphere is, or sphere of rock, is the part of the earth where rock fractures and breaks. The lithosphere covers the entire surface of the earth to about 100 kilometer under the oceans and to about 200 kilometer under the continents. Lithosphere includes earth's crust as well as parts of the upper mantle. So, in short, we are standing on the lithosphere, and earthquake and such kind of phenomena occur on the earth's crust only. Crust is composed of two: continental crust and oceanic crust. Continental crust means crust over which continents are there, we are standing, mountains are there, plains, plateaus are there. Oceanic crust is the ocean floor which is creating the ocean. So, oceanic as well as continental both together form the crust which is a part of the lithosphere. And lithosphere is actually on an average around 100 kilometer. In some area it is very thick like mountain Himalaya, or where the ocean is there, the crust is very thin. But overall it is around, say, the actual crust is around 40 to 50 kilometer of average thickness. But if we say lithosphere, it is including a part of upper mantle, so it is around 100 kilometer or a little more. The continental crust, the material that makes up the crust is called Sial, which is for silicon and aluminum. These are the two minerals that is the abundant composition of the crust. The continental crust is at least 3.8 billion years old. Continental crust is made mostly of less dense granite type of rock with density of 2.7 grams per cubic centimeter. Continental shields are the examples of that. Like we have got old continental shield, means very old ones. Some of the continents are modified with the later erosion and deposition process, but there are some shields like Indian shield, Guyana shield, Greenland shield, they represent very old crust. So, if we look at India, we can have different geologic divisions, cratons, the Deccan trap basalt that we have, sediments of Himalaya, sedimentary rock of Himalaya, sediments of central part of India, etc. And oceanic crust is called as SEMA, that is silicon and magnesium. Magnesium is thicker, more dense. So, oceanic floor is more dense than the continental crust. The thickness is around 7, 8, 9, 10 kilometer, a lot less. Oceanic crust is 200 million years in the oldest part, whereas continent is 3.8 million years. I will be explaining why it is when we come to the plate tectonics chapter. As of now, this is a fact. The oceanic crust is made of more dense, that is 3 grams per cubic centimeter. So, continental crust is lighter and oceanic crust is denser, both together from the crust and part of lithosphere. There is a sharp boundary between the crust and mantle, which is called as Mohorovičić discontinuity or Moho discontinuity. So, it does not gradually change. And then the next layer, mantle, it contains 82% of the earth's volume, largest. It is solid and rocky layer. The upper portion has the composition of the ultramafic rock peridotite. Ultramafic means rock which is very rich in iron. So, the upper portion has got peridotite, which makes it very interesting, we will see afterward. Density is between 3.4 to 5.6 gram per cubic centimeter. Mantle is divided into two parts. The upper part is called as asthenosphere, the second part is called as mesosphere. So, lithosphere is the solid brittle rock that is just above the asthenosphere, that includes the crust, the moho and upper part of the mantle. Asthenosphere is a thin zone in the mantle that is from 130 to 160 kilometer deep, where seismic waves undergo a sharp decrease in velocity. This is the layer of hot, elastic, semi-fluid material that extend around the entire earth, and mesosphere is below the asthenosphere. So, lithosphere, mantle and core, upper part of mantle is asthenosphere. It is a sphere without strength, means very weak, like semi-plastic, not really liquid, but like like sponge. It is ductile, we can shape it, it does not have a strength of its own. So, I can put pressure on it and like milk pouch. And this layer is very important because today we know that because of this layer that the whole plate tectonic phenomenon happens because of that. And here the rock peridotite is present. That is the reason why it is having this kind of weak strength. So, this asthenosphere is kind of supporting the lithosphere. So, it literally means it is the earth's interior below the lithosphere. Rock at great depths in early earth slowly bends and flows. We say the rock is ductile or plastic. And then let us come to the last layer, the most interior, we call it as the core. The outer core can be regarded as a ball of very hot metal. The outer core, so core is divided into two parts, outer core and inner core. The outer core is regarded as a ball of very hot metal. The outer core is liquid and made up of iron and nickel. So, iron and nickel, they are heavier than silicon or magnesium. So, density becomes more and more with the depth. The density is very high, but little less than pure molten iron. And this is in a liquid state. Why? Because here the threshold of melting and the rock temperature has become matched. So, the whole of outer layer is liquid and it looks like. The solid core is, I will come to this after I explain the inner core, whereas the inner part of the core is solid. We have seen in one of the previous diagram that as the depth increases, the ratio between melting and threshold of melting also increases, and therefore, the interior part of the core is in a solid state, solid iron. is extremely high temperature and pressure, and the temperature is even more than the surface temperature of sun, and it has remained solid. And what is interesting is the outer core is liquid, the inner core is solid, both are iron, and the outer core, as the earth is rotating, the outer core liquid is rotating around this iron ball inside, creating magnetism. Our north pole and south pole, magnetic north pole and magnetic south pole that we have, it is generated by this phenomenon of outer core revolving around the inner core. And it is so interesting that they reverse their property in few million years. We will see it once again in plate tectonics. So, this phenomenon of north pole and south pole is because of this arrangement of outer liquid and inner solid core. So, earth looks like this, like a bar magnet. A magnet is buried inside like a magnet. The south of that is attracting all north of metal objects which are there on the surface. We call it as the north pole and south pole. So, the outer liquid core rotates around the inner solid core and generate Earth's magnetism. The core and mantle boundary is called as Gutenberg discontinuity. So, we have Mohorovic discontinuity, second is the Gutenberg. That means, from one layer to other layer when it enters, there is a discontinuity, means a sudden change with lots of different property. So, now core is average density of nearly 11 grams per cubic centimeter, and earth center approaches 14 times the average density of water. Mostly iron, 5% to 10% nickel, and lesser amount of lighter material. So, it is very, very dense and heavy. Origin is, most accepted explanation is that core is formed in the earth's history early. As the earth begin to cool, iron in the core begin to crystallize and the inner core began to form. The earth's magnetic field. The requirement for the core to produce earth's magnetic field are met, that is made of material that conducts electricity and it is mobile. So, how the electricity is generated in all this hydroelectricity, diesel electricity, a dynamo, an iron, the same effect is created here. The outer liquid core is rotating around the inner solid core, generating the magnetic field. So, now we have got all the three layers: lithosphere, mantle and the core. Why do we have layers? It is very straightforward. You take a jar, put different weight and size ka material into it and shake it. The heavier one will settle down. So, you in the water only you put all this. So, earth was liquid in the beginning, and during the spinning process, during the rotation process, the heavier metals are coming and occupying the lower portion and lighter ones are all thrown up. So, when we look from the crust cut top till below, we will see material density becomes more and densest one is the core, which is made up of iron, and the top is aluminum, and which is the lightest. So, with the Big Bang it started 14.4 billion years ago. Our galaxy took its, universe took its birth, then came our galaxy, Milky Way, sun, planet, finally earth, 4.6 billion years, and from that day till today the earth is cooling. It took 1 billion years for it to form the crust, and slowly the interior of the earth has changed in due course of time. And then if we, so the actual age is 45700000000 years old, which we can shortly say 4.6 billion years old. And it's okay now, we don't need to talk about how moon and earth, but in the later period of time after the earth is formed, a part of that moon is formed. All this process do have together. We ask this question, why does the earth have layers? When the earth formed, it was molten rock. As the earth cooled, the denser material, that is Fe and Ni, iron and nickel, sank to the core. The earth's rotation flung the lighter elements towards the surface. So the earth layers are caused by density. The process is called as differentiation. So that is simple differentiation has occurred. So that is how we have got this arrangement of iron core, lighter material mantle and very light material aluminum and silicon as the crust or lithosphere. So finally, the three major factors cause the heating and melting in the earth's interior. The one is collision, transfer of kinetic energy into heat. Remember, these rocks are composed of radioactive minerals. So we have got lots of natural radioactive minerals in the rocks. They decay. As they decay, there are enormous amount of heat is generated. The heat is released as well as it is heated inside. Compression, enormous pressure, radioactivity, all these things together form the heating up. So finally, we have got the whole reconstruction before us. So this is the geological time period that we have, which we did in the earlier. So 4.6 billion years till today during this history. When geomorphology is also getting shaped on the surface, the interior of the earth also is taking shape. And now finally we have a crust which is called as lithosphere, around 100 kilometer. We have a mantle. The upper part of the mantle is very important for geology, geomorphology, because a asthenosphere layer is there from where the lava comes out. When the pressure is put, it becomes liquefied because of peridotite. We have got core. Core is of totally iron, outer core liquid, inner core solid. Each one layer is divided by or separated by a discontinuity. So we have got Mohorovičić, Gutenberg. It looks a lot like an orange. When we cut the orange, what we see is how the interior of the earth is. A core at the center, a mantle, and the skin is the crust. This is general information about. Now we see aluminum is 2.7, zinc, iron, copper, nickel, gold, how the density is increasing, and based on the density, the earthquake waves also move at a different velocity. So this is the last slide. We have before us the whole reconstruction of the interior of the earth, something which is not visible to our eyes. It is composed of three layers: solid and liquid core, a mantle, and a lithosphere over which we are standing, based on various evidences, mostly earthquake. Let us put what we did in this chapter or talk into a nutshell. The first thing that we saw is what were the evidences. Based on that we have reconstructed the interior of the earth. Indirectly, temperature, pressure and density, and very authentic one came from earthquake. P wave and S wave, depending on their property to travel through matter of different density of solid and liquid, the information has got compiled, and that is how we have got the reconstruction that the Earth's interior is composed of 3 layers: crust or lithosphere, lower density which is composed of Sial and Sima, the second layer is the mantle, upper mantle is the asthenosphere, lower mantle is mesosphere, and finally core, that is solid iron in the center, and outside is the liquid core. The rotation of liquid core to the inner core generates our magneticity or Earth's geomagnetism. So, we have seen how is the interior of the Earth. We will now see in the next lecture what we talked about asthenosphere, how it kind of levels the lithosphere. We will be doing a chapter called Theory of Isostasy, where we are going to see how is it so that the tall mountains and ocean floor, they are all in balance. Why they are not breaking? Because a compensation layer is existing. So, the next lecture that we are going to do is Theory of Isostasy.